Welcome to Space Matrix. Tonight, a seismic shift in North American trade. The Trump administration has slapped a 25% tariff on all Mexican imports. This move targets Mexico's booming electric vehicle industry, threatening billions in investment and thousands of jobs. The tariff disrupts decades-old supply chains, making it far more expensive to build and sell cars across the border. Mexican officials are scrambling to assess the fallout, as their dream of EV dominance faces a major setback. The uncertainty is palpable. Investments, jobs, and economic progress are all at risk. Canada, though not directly targeted, is deeply concerned. Its auto industry is tightly woven into the North American supply web. Parts and vehicles cross borders multiple times before final assembly. This tariff throws the entire system into chaos. The move signals a return to protectionist policies, casting doubt on the stability of the USMCA trade agreement. For both Mexico and Canada, the message is clear. The rules can change overnight, and no partner is truly safe. The shockwaves from Washington will be felt for years, forcing every player in the region to rethink their strategies. The North American auto industry stands at a crossroads with its future hanging in the balance. Stay tuned as we break down the high-stakes responses and what comes next. Mexico isn't backing down. State leaders are launching emergency tax incentives and subsidies to keep factories running and jobs intact. In Nuevo Leon and other industrial states, governors are rolling out payroll tax cuts and direct support for companies that stay put. It's a coordinated effort to reassure investors and shield the auto sector from collapse. But these measures come at a cost. State budgets are stretched thin, risking cuts to essential services. There's no guarantee these incentives will offset the tariff's impact. For many companies, the math may not add up. The stakes are enormous. If factories close, unemployment could spike, fueling social unrest and opening doors for organized crime. Industry groups warn that failure could devastate entire regions. Mexico is gambling its fiscal health to defend its industrial core. The outcome will shape not just the economy, but the social fabric of the nation. The world is watching to see if Mexico's bold counter-offensive can hold the line. The next moves could determine the country's future as a manufacturing powerhouse. Mexico's auto industry is dangerously exposed. 80% of its vehicles go straight to the US. The new tariff acts as a direct tax, making Mexican cars thousands of dollars more expensive overnight. Automakers face a brutal choice: absorb the cost and lose profits, or pass it on and lose sales. Foreign investment is already stalling as companies rethink plans for new EV factories. The momentum Mexico built as an EV hub is grinding to a halt. The North American supply chain, once seamless, is now tangled in uncertainty and rising costs. The long-term risk: Mexico could lose its privileged place in the auto industry. The entire region may be forced to rethink how and where cars are built. To reduce its US dependence, Mexico is courting Chinese EV giants like BYD, hoping to attract billions in investment and new jobs. But this strategy puts Mexico in the crosshairs of US-China tensions. Washington fears Chinese firms will use Mexico as a backdoor to bypass tariffs, pressuring Mexico to limit these partnerships. As a result, major projects are stalled, and Mexico is caught in a delicate balancing act. Embracing China could mean economic growth, but risks US retaliation. Rejecting China could mean missing out on a transformative opportunity. Mexico's economic future now hinges on navigating this geopolitical minefield. Every decision is fraught with risk, as global trade and politics become inseparable. The stakes: billions in investment, thousands of jobs, and Mexico's place in the global EV race. The world is watching to see which way Mexico will turn. The tariffs may target Mexico, but the pain will be felt in the US EV market. American automakers rely on Mexican parts and components, especially for electric vehicles. The new tariff will drive up costs, making EVs even less affordable for US consumers. Higher prices could slow EV adoption, undermining climate goals and stalling the industry's growth. Automakers now face a complex, unpredictable landscape, forced to rethink supply chains and pricing. The ripple effects could hit dealerships, suppliers, and thousands of American workers. The policy meant to protect US industry could end up hurting consumers and slowing innovation. The road to an electric future just got steeper. The entire US auto market is bracing for impact. The question: can the industry adapt before the damage is done? Not all automakers are equally vulnerable. Tesla, with most of its U.S. production in Texas and California, is largely shielded from the tariff's direct impact. This could give Tesla a price edge over rivals who rely on Mexican assembly, but even Tesla isn't immune. Global supply chains mean higher costs for some parts, and the risk of retaliatory tariffs abroad. Other companies like Honda and Hyundai, who've invested in U.S. manufacturing, are better positioned to weather the storm. Their foresight may pay off, allowing them to keep prices stable and production steady. The biggest losers? Automakers like GM, Ford, and Stellantis, who depend heavily on Mexican plants. They face tough choices: absorb costs, raise prices, or overhaul supply chains. Each option threatens profits and competitiveness. The trade war is redrawing the competitive map of the auto industry. Winners and losers will be decided by their ability to adapt. The stakes have never been higher. The tariff is just one part of a broader policy shift under the Trump administration. Federal funding for EV charging infrastructure is paused, and vehicle emission standards are being rolled back. These moves slow the transition to electric vehicles, sending mixed signals to automakers and investors. Companies that bet big on electrification now face a volatile, unpredictable market. The U.S. risks falling behind Europe and Asia, where governments are accelerating the EV transition. The uncertainty threatens jobs, investment, and American leadership in clean technology. For automakers and consumers, the road ahead is filled with questions. The future of North American EV manufacturing hangs in the balance. As the continent braces for impact, one thing is clear: the rules of the game have changed. The next chapter in the EV revolution will be written by those who can adapt to this new reality.